Welcome everyone. I've been discussing more about the confluence between complex trauma, psychedelics, and the natural world. And if you didn't get a chance to watch the video prior, you might go back and just watch a little bit more on what I mean by complex trauma. And essentially I want to kind of highlight two terms in relationship to what I was outlining in regards to complex trauma in the last video, which is disconnection and objectification. And briefly, I was describing how when the environment fails around us, we make ourselves bad to make the environment good. And in that process, we become, one, we start to objectify ourselves in the world by seeing ourselves as a bad object that needs to be good, usually to be good as a way to protect the attachment relationship, to get a sense of belonging, or maybe even to create a sense of safety for ourselves. And in that process, we're also disconnecting from ourselves because we find ourselves in an impossible bind where we deeply yearn to be authentic and alive and embodied as a child. But if that comes with a threat to be connected to ourselves, then we have to disconnect as a way to navigate or adapt to that environment. So it's important to kind of understand those concepts as we start to move into understanding more around how complex trauma and psychedelics might be connected, as well as how we might then learn to deepen into more of an animated, living, natural world. So first of all, thinking about this idea of connection and disconnection and objectification, moving into the use of psychedelics, it's really important, I think, to understand, at least from my perspective as a trauma therapist, to be aware of if we have spent the majority of our lives disconnected from our hearts, our aliveness, our emotions, that when we begin to use these kind of medicines that actually bring us directly into a kind of connection with not only ourselves, but something bigger than ourselves, it can overwhelm our system and our nervous system with energy. So one of the pieces around understanding complex trauma, and this is really my strong belief in preparation integration, is we spend a lot of time building the internal structure that supports us in connecting to ourselves, that supports us in being connected to ourselves, and understanding the connection with ourselves for longer stretches of time, so that we can, in a way, build up our tolerance to this life force energy that's flowing within us. And in doing so, we are preparing ourselves for a kind of opportunity for deeper healing and deeper connection within the journey with the medicine that we are participating with, are engaging with. And there is a way in which also these kind of concepts start to weave into animating the natural world, which I'll kind of go into in more depth in the next video. But before I do that, I kind of want to just start to give us, a few practices to start thinking about how we might start to become more aware of our patterns of connection and disconnection. And really, one of the primary ways that we disconnect from ourselves is through shame. So you might just start to bring some awareness to the times in your life where you're critical on yourself, where you might be pressuring yourself in a kind of way that comes with some judgment around meeting some kind of expectation. And to start to notice if that is supporting or getting in the way of a greater sense of connection and aliveness. And bringing awareness and attention to the flip side, you might also start to slow down in those moments where you do feel a sense of connection to yourself, to your partner, to something greater than yourself, a greater sense of aliveness, and to start to get curious about how you are supporting yourself with that sense of connection. And when I mean how you're supporting yourself, how might you be relating to yourself? Are you bringing more compassion and understanding and love? Are there other ways that you find support that kind of connection? And that's a real basic way to start to track within yourself these patterns of connection and disconnection. All right, well, it's great to start to dive in this together. It's exciting. I hope, again, as I've been saying, as I offer these ideas, that it's really about a process of inquiry and curiosity together and learning together. So if there's any thoughts or ideas, please feel free to put those in the comments below. Okay, much love.